My name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden. Here is where I empower women to reclaim their authentic power, embrace their inner wisdom, and transform life's most challenges. Transitions into profound opportunities for spiritual growth and self-discovery. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. Subscribe to the newsletter at Elizabeth Magical Garden, as well as check out my podcast at Elizabeth Magical Garden, which goes live.
We have a great episode ahead of us. I'm so excited to dive deep, but before we get into this juicy topic, hi, my name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars. Guys, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back. How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling good in your body? Are you doing the things that will allow you to be present in this lifetime? Today's topic, we will be discussing Crone energy. This is a part 2 from the current episode that I recorded. Be sure to check that out, and that is episode 263. So that's the first part. One of the reasons why I discussed Crone energy and even got involved is because when I turned 50, guys, things just went through the roof. Everything that I knew about myself, the things that I cultivated over the years, was no longer serving me. It was no longer working. The things that I was stuffing down, the thoughts that I thought I've gotten rid of, those things that I've dug myself out were still, let's just say, had its residue. I came far. Yes, I wasn't allowing certain things, but we all know life happens, and you will be presented with different remnants of things that sneaks its way into your life. And that's when you see the person that you have cultivated, the person that you have become, right? But it doesn't leave you unscathed. And I truly believe it's the inner work that you do, which will allow how you show up when those things rear its ugly head. So today, we're doing a part 2 about Crone energy. And what is Crone energy? What does it encompass? And this is from my point of view. My spiritual practice is a vast of many things, and one of the things that has never left from the day it entered my life is moon energy, being able to flow with rather than go against the current. And that was a big roadblock for me, guys. I had no clue. And the thing is, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because a lot of times when we finally come to a different outlook, a different version of ourselves, you're always going to be evolving. That's something that is inevitable. So it doesn't make sense to beat up on yourself for the things that you didn't know. A lot of the things that I was experiencing in my life, and I'm sure you feel the same, I didn't have the vocabulary for. But the good news is, with technology, with self-healing, self-development, taking time to put ourselves first, we start to educate ourselves, right? So one of the things that I learned on my journey, whether you want to say study, worship, attuned to, when it comes to moon energy, I got acquainted with the goddess within, because the moon is a feminine energy. When you woke up in your consciousness in these bodies and was thrust into a certain outlook, a certain aspect in your life, because maybe you came from an abusive home, maybe you have experienced some type of abuse, you you small yourself. Anytime you are abused, there's a part of you that is chipped away, right? You're not at your full capacity. The pain is out of this world. The pain that you endure, your consciousness cannot even take it in. So just for you to continue, you are chipped away at. When you are in your late seasons, whether you want to say, and the reason why I'm choosing late is because it's fall energy. Crone energy is winter, fall, winter. Because what happens in the fall? The leaves start to fall down to the ground, hence fall. Winter, it gets cold, it gets shiverous. There's not a lot of warmth there, right? And Crone energy demands that type of texture because of the power it holds, because of the wisdom it has acclaimed over the years. When you get to your 50s, when you get to your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, that is a level that not many can say they have. Whenever you get past the 50s and beyond, any age is a gift, but the wiser the better. And the more you acclaim, you wouldn't be able to recognize this version of yourself if you weren't already doing the work in your latter version. Because Crone energy is a responsibility. It's a responsibility to have courage. It's a responsibility for you to stand up and no longer accept what is not working for you in your life. And this can mean family, friends, your home. It could be anything in your life. Certain habits that you have has to stop now. And this is not me telling you to stop. This is you. Because if you're listening to this and you're under the sound of my voice, you know your struggles, you know those inner demons that you dare not speak upon out in public. We all have them. The thing is, what I've noticed is that it's not so much about beating up on yourself for doing the thing. It's about standing up to that aspect of yourself that knows, like, this is taking up space. This is taking up space that we can use for something else. Time is the precious tool here, guys. That was one of the things that I've noticed about myself. Once I hit 50, like from my 40s, I already started seeing the change in terms of like, wait a minute, I'm too old for this, right? But it goes in so deep that by the time you get to this position, now the closest ones to you may have to get the sword. It's a metaphor, guys. Right? But it's true. It's a severing, it's a cutting of energy that you can no longer afford to have in your diaspora. You just can't. Not if you want to be the next version. Because at the end of the day, all these versions that we're speaking of, they're all part of us. If you close your eyes right now and you think about when you were 10. I know you might say, oh, I don't remember any. If you think deep, whether it's maybe you had a favorite color, maybe there was a toy, maybe there was a favorite show, maybe it was a character, it could be anything. Just attach your mind to that thing. What do you notice? You, all of a sudden, you kind of like shrink back into that character. It's a shrinkage. Because if you're here, you have expanded. Your conscious mind has expanded. So you would have to shrink yourself to match that energy. The issue here is when other people is doing the shrinking because they cannot accept you for the version that you are currently in right now. When you're doing the work, you're showing up, you're going to the gym, you're putting in the reps, you're waking up early, you're putting on your makeup, you're making sure you're presentable, regardless if you go outside or not. Let me tell you, that is top tier for me. The other day, sidebar, I did not want to get dressed for the day. I did not want to get dressed for the day. I just was like, those days. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like put on my face. But and this is what I believe the fruits of your labor, because I've been doing it for so long. The decision was no longer mine. It didn't matter if I didn't feel like getting dressed. So I got dressed. I put on this beautiful dress, and what happened? I instantly, my level of energy went up. My attitude completely changed. I was motivated. I also did a photo shoot and so many other things for my platform. And I don't believe that I would have been able to be in that mindset if I would have said, well, just give in to that energy of not wanting to do the thing. And listen, no one is perfect. You're going to give in. I'm going to give in sometime. But you know what? Get back on the horse. A lot of times we make the excuse of because you faltered or because you made a mistake or you got weak in a moment. Now it's this time to throw in the towel. Why is that even an option? It sounds like a plan B to me. I thought we was the A team. Okay. That reminds me of Mr. T. Remember the A team? Okay. I digress. I'm going to give you what I'm going to discuss here on this platform. I'm going to give you some tools that will catapult you in such a way that is going to put you in the face of this energy. You want to be dead smack in the middle of your crone energy. You want to be so engulfed into this way of thinking that people just stop asking you questions. You want when you walk in a room, especially around the people that knew you before they were introduced into this version, where they respect you and don't even question you because your energy has shifted. You don't need to be introduced anymore. So number one is your nervous system. Guys, if I were you, I would make it a point to get so familiar with the nervous system and what it encompasses, because this goes in very deep. You having the ability to control yourself is the only way you're going to be able to achieve anything that I mentioned from this point on. A lot of us is walking around here bobble-headed because our nervous system, you're rattled. Okay. And one of the reasons why I could say that is because I didn't know. And again, I didn't have the vocabulary at that time. I didn't do this type of inner work where I would have known. But let's just say the paint was all there. 99.9% of everything in my life, when I look at it, was not all bad, but a lot of the things that could have been avoided was a lack of self-control. It was. If I'm being completely honest. And it wasn't until I did the inner work, and it wasn't until I got to a point of self-respect that I no longer accept certain behaviors, whether it was for me or anybody else. When you have a self of calm, you're able to make sound decisions. And this is something that is, I believe, a life sentence, because challenges is always occurring and you will find yourself having to recalibrate, but it's okay, because the more you do something, the better you get at it. I believe it said when a person is powerful when they're able to come back to center, like quick, like something can happen, but like how the distance between you becoming leveled says a lot. Are you the kind of person that when something happens, you just let everything go? Everything you worked so hard to do? The money you spent on the tools for you to achieve the things? Or are you the type of person that can go through certain things and you are leveled, but you are not taking care of your physical well-being? You're not eating on time. You're going to bed really late, or you may be getting up very late. Or are you the type of person that understand life is a cycle and there is birth, there is death, and it's a perpetuating system? Because you've been at a point in your life where you can now say, I've been through this before, maybe not this particular thing, but this level of intensity and energy. And when you have a healed nervous system, because it can be healed, your mind is a powerful thing, right? When you take the time to sit and put things in order, that's when you become powerful, because now you can see. And you being able to see is what's calming you down. You're not just walking around blindly because you're paying attention, which leads me into the next one, which is practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is the heart of what I discuss, because mindfulness practices sitting down with yourself, taking time to meditate, taking time to write down your thoughts. Guys, you know, for years I've been mentioning morning pages. I even gave you a couple of other ones that I believe there's one of the morning pages that I do every morning is by Julia Cameron. I read her books, did the course. I also buy her journals every single time. Whenever I see I'm almost at the end, there I go on Amazon, another one to cart. To love to make up my own, and I still definitely love to do, and be sure to sign up to my email list when I have certain offers, because I believe in using tactile skills. Study shows that when you use your motor skills as well as listening or visualizing, the likelihood of you remembering is that much greater. Mindfulness allows you to see where certain things in your toolbox just doesn't need to be, where your thoughts are going. Something about the shower, I guess because it's a mindful practice, right? It's a meditative practice. You're cleaning your skin, getting away all that energy. It's all going down to the drain. Just meditating and focusing on that aspect will allow you to start receiving different downloads. And one of the things I noticed, I would really go deep and my mind would just be on a whole nother plane, sometime good and sometime bad, right? But it wasn't until I started practicing mindfulness that I was able to snap out of it. I would want to go further, and as soon as I would have the thought to go further, it would be like, oh, we're right here. We're right here. We're taking a shower. And is that a real thing? Or did you just is that a thought? Because thoughts are not real. It's just a thought. A good question to ask yourself is this real or is this a thought? And you'd be surprised. Practicing mindfulness allows you to have clarity, right? And this is what we need, because when you are in Crone consciousness, This is a very powerful energy because you come with so much wisdom, right? And you can feel heightened in your emotions, but this is all the more reason why you have to be mindful of how and the way you see things. What are your perspectives? This is not to tell you what to think. This is more to enlighten you on your thought process and how it can help you or work against you. And when you're in your mid-age, energy is everything. You know, with people living longer, now you want to be in a position, right, where you have done all this work and you are continuing the process. You are evolving. You are in a position now where you can say no, because there was a time where that wasn't an option, right? But now it is. You've been working and doing the things. You're successful now. That version of yourself that was struggling has been long gone. And you may feel different because it still feels like a struggle. Maybe the struggle is coming from within. Think about it. People have millions. We are blessed to be in a position to be able to build and receive leverage from our hard work to the point where you can be a millionaire at this very moment and still feel miserable. That's because your emotional bank is empty. Everything has a metamorphosis. There's a birth, there's a growth process, and then there's this death. There's the death of the thing. It has gotten you only this far. This is what people struggle with because you don't want to let go. You had it in your possession. You were known to be the go-to person when somebody needed a helping hand. You've been the one who always celebrated. Everything was always at your house. You are the hostess of the mostest. You may be the one that knows about business, understand the numbers behind that, and is gifted with a capacity where you don't get emotional, so everybody comes to you. But now you have other things that you want to do. You have already accomplished that goal, right? But unfortunately, people usually are not ready to see you the way you see you, especially if they're benefiting from that. And this is another reason why Crone energy is something to encompass in your life. This is why I present you with this and give you the tools, because a lot of times people see things in ways where it's like because of the name, they don't allow themselves to take in the information. I'm a type of person that if it works and it's true, that's all I need. Okay. But that's me. And these are the things that I believe Crone energy allows you, because I believe in systems. There is power when you have the capacity to build. You are not in any position to do anything if you can't build you. Build from within. Build from that dark space in yourself. Build from the pain. There's money there. And it wasn't until I allowed myself to shed, and it gets deep. It doesn't, sorry to break the news to you, it doesn't get better. It gets better, but in a different way, because in order for something to live, something has to die. I'm going to repeat that. In order for something to live, something has to die. It's evolution. It's part of life. And last but not least is moving your body. This is the sexiest the strongest I have ever felt in my life. And it's not just physical, it's everything. More mental, because where the mind goes, the body follows. And when you start to practice what I've mentioned, something happens, something click. You enter a different room within yourself. Now it's just about you and God. You and you. No one else. Not your loved ones, not your kids, not your friends, not your businesses. You. Because we are all confronted with this evolution. I believe Bruce Lee mentioned in one of his talks that our aim is to become like water. And I remember hearing that so many times, and I was like, become water? Like, getting to the point where you cannot be phased because you've already duked it out with yourself. This is the joy that I give you guys in this Crone Energy course. This is the key. Getting in a room within your own mind where you are now confronted with self. You are now confronted with the things that makes you weak, the things that you are ashamed of. You get to, I would like to say, file them away. But this is not to take away hope. This is not to scare off anyone. This is to confront you, because if you are under the sound of my voice, that means that you are ready. You are now at a point in your life that you are in your mid-age. You do have white under that color, or maybe no color. You are at the point where people want to categorize you. But see, what a lot of people don't know is you've been silently doing the work. You've been silently in the back, in the trenches, duking it out with yourself, because you've taken the time to sit, to breathe, to exercise, to eat well, to sever relationships that no longer served you. You abstained from the things that would give you quick joy. You're at a point where you have acclimatized who you are. To end this course, I want to do a little breath work because I know I gave you guys a lot to think about, and it's okay. So let's take this time to bring back our breathing, to allow the nervous system to get to a point of recognition, understanding that this is a safe space, understanding that this is a place of love, which is our heart. So with me, let's take a deep breath. We hold for 4 counts, and then we let out from our stomachs, starting with 1. Release. Again, through the nose, taking a deep breath. Breathe out through the stomach. Breathe out through the stomach. Don't break. Don't break. Last one. Hold in for 4 counts. Release. Release from the belly. Let go. Let it go. Return to center. This concludes this course. Be sure to check out all the links down below, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channels at Elizabeth Magical Garden. All the links are down below. Guys, stay blessed, stay in peace, and stay empowered. Peace. Hey guys, leave a comment, a review, preferably 5 stars. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram because what is popping over there? And also check out my YouTube channel to stay connected and see your girl's lovely face. Guys, I love you so much. Keep on pushing, and I'll definitely speak to you soon. Be blessed.